Well, it's been a while since I've said this, but welcome into another edition of Runner's Recap. Coach, it's been a minute, hasn't it?
It has been. It seems like it's been forever, but we're excited to be back on.
Yeah, this is long overdue. Obviously, we haven't spoken since before the WAC tournament, which seems
Yeah.
like ages ago. So, as the world knows, that was the first kind of domino for the sports world to kind of shut down was you guys at those conference tournaments that weekend, and then obviously the NBA suspension. So, if you can just take us through what it's been like and how have you processed all of this from your guys not even getting on the court there in Vegas to that season just coming to an end?
Well, it was so suddenly, I guess, was the thing because we were there actually the day of our game that we were about to play that night. Our girls were playing that morning because their game the previous night was canceled or postponed. And I was going to head over and kind of look at their game and kind of observe a little bit of what might happen and, root on our girls for about a half and then get back to our guys. And I started watching the ESPN and I saw where there are a couple of conferences, that had decided that they were postponing their tournament. So I text Ziggy and he was already at the game. I text Coach McCall, he was at the game. And the next thing you know, Ziggy called me back and said, hey, you're going to postpone it. We're not going to play it. You guys can get ready and head back, because I think that may be the season. And I was like, are you kidding me? So we were happening to prepare our guys for breakfast anyway. And when we got to breakfast, I broke the news to our guys, and obviously they were sad and disappointed. And then from there to now, it's just seemed like we've been in this bad dream of sorts, to what has happened. I mean, obviously we have compassion for the ones that have lost loved ones, and we're closing in on 100,000 deaths, and our country has been shut down. So because nothing has ever happened, there's nothing you can compare it to. There's no reference of a point that you could say, once in my life, this happened or that happened. And so we're just trying to deal with it, stay positive with it, finding new ways to motivate our guys and new ways, obviously, our new normal as far as lifestyle. So it has been tough at times, but, I'm one of those as a coach. It's important for me to stay encouraged and encourage others. So we're doing well. We're fine. Family's safe and we're healthy, and that's about the best you can ask for now.
Absolutely. And that's great to hear that. I'm glad the family's doing well. And I know, man, even you saying that, it sounds crazy that being there. And I mean, I was so excited for you guys for both teams. This was, your last chance to make that mark in the WAC. That was the kind of slogan all year for both, the women's and the men's basketball teams and all the teams, honestly, at CCB. So, I mean, just what was that like to not be able to have that statement in the WAC and have to leave in such an odd way?
Well, obviously, I mean, the WAC has been a great conference for us. I mean, it's really has helped to propel us to where we are today, and that's to be going into the Big West. So, you kind of just want to leave your last mark. I mean, even to say to the commissioner, say to those, all of the press people that have, been so good to us to walk off the court to end the season there, and hopefully we were going to be the winners, of the tournament, but to just end in such an odd way. And, again, it's just like you're numb in effect, like this is not over, right? Like this
Yeah.
can't be. And in the immediate, following it, you kind of like, hey, let's make sure we pack, let's get back, they're postponed, so we're like, you get about halfway back to Bakersfield and you decide to think like, did that just happen? Did we just come back and we didn't play? And then are we done in the WAC? Did it end that way? So it was just one of those things that even today, as we're talking about, I go back to try to, so that's how I was feeling that day. And it was just, you kind of like in this world or in this dream and you keep saying, okay, I'm going to wake up and we're going to get ready and play. Like that's something that seems like it would have happened the night before the game. And then you wake up and you go, okay, man, let's get going. And we never got going again. So
Right.
obviously, even as I look back on it today, I mean, just years to come. I mean, obviously, one of my sons, coaches for me, and to tell their kids and their grandkids and, my grandkids that, man, we ended this season the way we did. I don't think that'll ever happen again. At least hopefully it won't. So it was a once in a lifetime experience that wasn't very pleasant. I would say that. So, at time, even afterwards, I thought, 3 or 4 days later, I'm like, they're gonna call us back. We're gonna go back over there. We're gonna play, and then I started thinking it's not gonna happen. So I thought maybe, well, they're just gonna let everybody play a pool and get in and play an NCAA tournament. As a coach, you start hoping all different kind of things are gonna, pan out, but they didn't, and obviously. It wasn't the right way I wanted to say goodbye to the WAC and, the people that have been so good to us and the conference that has been good to us. But, you know, you just have to move on. And that's what we're doing.
Yeah, it was so much to process. One, as a sports anchor and reporter, just wondering, I remember driving back thinking, gosh, what is my life going to look like for these next few months? Not even contemplating we'd be here at the end of May, still in this, still uncertain if sports is coming back just yet. But man, it's been a lot to process. And I was the same way. I had a little bit of hope, and it is crazy how it switched, how fast everything kind of changed. But of course, as you mentioned, we moved on. You guys are still working on stuff. And with that, there was recent news from the NCAA that June 1st, they would be allowing voluntary sports back for Division I football and basketball teams. And I'm curious, I know things are a little different with you guys being a part of the Cal State universities, but what is the latest for you guys in terms of possibly getting back to a normal practice routine here?
Well, that's still a little far out for us, as you said, with the CSU and just the California system, and with even way our governor is moving a little bit slower than other state governors are. We're just trying to stay healthy and safe right now, and obviously follow the rules and the regulations. So, we've talked to our players about maybe getting here sometime at the end of June and maybe trying to get at least physicals and things done and making sure that who has the virus, who does not have the virus. So maybe sometimes later in the summer we could start working out, but we still don't have anything that's definite and for sure what's going to happen. I'm about safety. There's just too many deaths, and I'm sure just looking at it and researching it, probably the young men that we have on our team, just their age and health that they are, they're probably pretty safe. But, you just don't want to take any chances of them spreading it to anyone or to each other. And you definitely don't want to take a chance of putting someone in a situation that may cause them to contract the virus in a way that it may be really serious for them in some way. So we're going to use all the precautionary standards and rules and regulations to make sure that we're healthy. I'm sure, hopefully in June we'll have most of our guys back, but really I am instructed our parents that unless their, sons feel comfortable doing it, that it's okay to just stay at home, because the worst thing we could do is have someone here out of fear. And right now, just the uncertainty is causing a certain level of fear among students, among coaches, among everyone, because we just don't know. Because I continue to tell our coaches in the staff meeting and continue to tell, parents when I talk to them, this happened so quickly. We went from 0 to 100, and we're still not certain on a lot of things with the virus. And I don't want to get our guys back, and then we go from a 0 to 100 with something else. So we're going to be very slow in this process and making sure that safety and health is the most important things for us. So we may not get back to the court, maybe until this fall. But we'll start trying to get our guys back. Some of them want to get back because they've opened it up for voluntary, training, which that's I'm not involved in that in a sense, but it's voluntary. And some of them will be in a better and safe place being back here in Bakersfield than they are at their homes.
Yeah. Oh man, so much uncertainty. And with all that, what has been the hardest? I mean, you can go down the list of how much uncertainty there's been about all of this, and even right now, talking about what the future is of your next season. So, what's been the hardest for you as a coach during all of this time?
Not being with the players. That's been the thing. I mean, and I was discussing this with my wife. I don't know how once our players get back, it's going to be difficult for me to do social distancing. Because people need to be hugged and touched and things like that and high fived and so that's been really tough for me because a lot of us as coaches, a lot of our energy is driven, and you know, uh, we get our energy sourced from our players and the way that they are and trying to boost them up or them boosting us up. And to not have that, it's been the difficult part. Just every day to walk around when you normally with those guys, some 300 and some days out of the year. And then what it's been 2 months or so, with no, maybe going on a third month now of having no contact, only just through Zoom and phone calls. That's tough, especially. I mean, for me, it's been 30 years. I've never been at home this long. I've never been away from our team, probably longer than 10 days, at any time in my career, not being a part of some aspect of coaching. And this is definitely different.
Yeah, I've spoken to quite a few coaches on all different levels, and they usually say the same thing that you just said. You get
Yeah,
into coaching because you love the person-to-person interaction, and that's
yeah,
something that's been super tough for a lot of people, and including myself. I mean, we've all been challenged as individuals to
yeah,
maintain relationships in a totally different way. This
right.
virtual life it's weird, but I also feel like it's kind of pushed me. I've never connected more with my family, so I'm kind of
Yeah.
thankful for that. But for sure, there's been too many challenges. But coach, I want to shift gears here because of course amongst all the uncertainty with the world right now, you guys have had a couple of changes too, and starting off with most recently your associate head coach Jeff Conero. He's
Yeah.
heading back to his alma mater, Colorado College, and you guys have been together for quite some time since the early 2000s. So what is that like for you to see him kind of take on this opportunity, but also how maybe personally difficult was it for you to know that he won't be on your coaching staff come next year?
Well, it's really been exciting. I mean, I've been so happy. This is a dream come true for him. And as a head coach, you look at your assistant coaches as most of the time little brothers, and sometimes they may be even sons to you. And to see the way that Coach Conroe has matured and the way he's grown, and to be able to be a part of that. And normally, the excitement you have when you have a student athlete who may come to you as a freshman, and then you look at them, and then there's a senior graduating across the stage. You're so proud and you're so excited, and that's the way I feel with Coach Conroe. It's like again, a mentor to his mentee. You feel like he's prepared to move forward and move on, and you're excited for him, even though, as you said, there's some sense of sadness there when you've shared 16 years of your life with some. That's a very long time, especially nowadays with all the changes and how quick people move in jobs and different things happen. So it's probably going to even hit me more, as we get back together and I realize that he's not there. Because like right now, again, we're on Zoom or we're on a
Yeah.
phone and I'm not there. But he and I went to lunch sometimes with the whole staff, but at least he and I would go 3 or 4 times a week. And now he won't be here, so it's sadness there. But my joy is so much for him that it's really not as much sadness as what someone may imagine. Because
Yeah.
again, it would be like I'm sure your parents when they sent you off. I'm sure there was sadness, but in the end, I thought, oh, look at our daughter. Look at her. We're so proud of what she's accomplished, and she's ready to go, and we want to support her, but it's time, So I'm sure hopefully I'll get a chance to see him coach next year, and I'm sure he'll be checking on us. I'll make a special trip if I have to see him in person, just to let him know we support him. But it's a bittersweet, but more sweet than bitter,
Yeah.
because he's ready, he's prepared. Colorado College is fixing to get a great head coach, and I have to do a great job here as far as hiring process to continue to help us move forward, because he was such a big key and so important to what we do here. So I'm looking forward to that challenge. It's kind of exciting a little bit because it's something different and new, but definitely we're going to miss him.
Yeah, so that already puts some work on your plate to find a transition there. And again, it's just you mentioning that what a weird time that you don't really get to even, I hope you guys get to see each other in person. I'm sure you will. And I guess thank goodness too, Kern County opened up a little bit this last week. So maybe you guys got to
Don't
grab.
tell him about it. Don't tell him
Yeah,
about
okay. We'll keep
it.
that one's on the down low. But yeah, and how weird though for hiring. And I mean, I wanted to ask you that. So now you're not only looking to fill a position, but you're also going to be, recruiting as well. And what has that whole world been like as a head coach doing that virtually?
Well, probably it's probably been better for me, just from the standpoint I've had more time to really spend some time on the phone, because we're not in workouts, or guys not in class, or not meeting with our players, in a sense. So I've been able to get on the phone and get to know some people. Obviously, we haven't seen some of the players that I've actually been talking to, just going on, referrals and film, and but that's been a little bit different, but something that's interesting that I think we'll use moving forward, as far as using Zoom and FaceTime more, just because it's kind of becoming a normal way of recruiting. But hopefully by the end of the summer, sometimes that we'll be allowed, maybe they'll give us some time to get out and start recruiting again, because the difficult part is if you haven't already seen the student athletes, then you kind of just, talking to get to know each other. And most of the time you would like to see them first, and then you can really be fired up about who you're speaking with or who you're talking to. But it's been a change. But it's okay. It's not as bad. But then during this time, I think the effect will happen is we come September and we haven't seen anyone, then that's when it's going to get really tough to try to make some decisions. And we like to sign someone early every year. And this year, hopefully we will. But, because there's some kids we've already seen, but our numbers are nowhere where they would normally be as far as who we would be recruiting right now.
Yeah, I guess one positive out of all of this is it's a lot faster because you don't have to hop on a plane or drive around. You could just hop from one Zoom call to the next.
Yes, that's
If
exactly
it
right.
works out that way.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, this is the most rested I've been in 30 years. I mean,
You
I
needed it,
needed
coach.
this in the right kind of way. I did, for health reason, and get my feet back under me. And I've never had this much time. So just to go back over my notes and go through what we're doing, and try to just set up refresh our plans and what we're doing, having time to do that. There's been some great things that come out of this also, as bad as it's been, and
Right.
as much as I'd like to get out again, but it's been some good things that have come out of this for us.
Yeah, I love to hear that. So you're busy on the refresh, but of course, already looks like the roster is going to be refreshed a little bit. You guys had some players hit the transfer portal. Like, all
Yeah.
that I've seen recently, Cam Allen, Greg Lee, and Darren Person Jr. are the ones that have headed out to
Yes.
new places. So I know you've spoken in the past and been very honest about this new
Yes.
transfer portal world that we live in the NCAA. So what, I guess for you, what's been
Yes.
the most challenging thing about that? Just trying to keep these guys here. And I know that's what you like to do, but
Right.
obviously I know that for some guys they want to seek an opportunity elsewhere for many different reasons. But
Right.
what's the ultimate challenge with this transferring?
Well, the roster, that you used to, you could finish, and a week later, you knew, hey man, this is who we got. This is how many people we have on scholarship. This is who we're gonna sign, or whatever it may be. You could find that you could pretty much believe that your roster was set pretty soon. After the season. Now, we're almost like the NBA in a sense. Like, I was just watching this morning. There was 3 or 4 guys went in the transfer portal this morning, and here we are. It's June. And for us, some of it I kind of thought might happen. That's just part of what you do right now. Cam Allen decided to transfer, which I kind of anticipated that simply because I knew he was going to graduate. He came here for a year. So we took a kid by the name of Sean Williams early. We took him during the break because I just had a feeling it was going to happen, and I just, you got to hopefully cover all your bases, and it happened. So that wasn't a shock for us. The Greg Lee situation, we kind of thought it might be up in the air just because, Greg had a better year, and I thought some people would be trying to recruit him. We were able to quickly sign Bino, who Cam Smith. We got a chance to sign him real quickly. So I'm sorry. When
That's
we
okay.
signed him, we felt like we had that covered. And then we signed Graylin Easton late. So we had 3 guys that left, and we had 3 guys that are in. So we kind of got our work done early, which was great. Darren Person left. He's been injury prone, and I think he looked at our roster and thought, he really wanted to get a whole lot more playing time and decided to move closer to home, sign with Fresno Pacific. So we're in good shape. We still got the core of our guys. We got a lot of guys that started. Guys played a lot of minutes. We got every position covered, and we felt good by the guys that we recruited that are coming with us. So we felt like we won. I mean, not that the guys that left here were bad, but we felt like we made the right decisions quickly, and we were able not where it's cost us that. But the thing is, it's like everything. I wake up every morning. I'm sure you check the sport or the news or something. I check the portal every morning, so
Yeah.
making sure that we don't have anybody in there, and if there's somebody that we like, we need to call on. So, but it's just the world we're in right now, and
Yeah.
sometimes I think it's good for the student athletes, and sometimes I think it's really bad decisions. So, you know
Yeah. No,
difficult that I don't have a whole lot of input in it about them getting in the portal because I think then, you might could prevent some of it from going on.
of course. Yeah. Again, it gives power back to the players, which is nice to see from one end,
Yeah,
but I get what you're
I
saying
figured
though.
you would
There's a
say that. I figured you would say that.
Yeah, well, I like balance. I like balance on both sides, but I do absolutely get, and again, we've had this long conversation in our first season of Runners Recap, and it was interesting to hear your perspective because it's tough. It's something like there's almost no control from the coach, and then it's for you as a coach, just every year that turnover. And like you said, one good thing for the Runners coming up next year is you do have a lot of the returning key pieces, and one of those being Taze Moore. So how good does that feel to know that Taze is going to finish out with CSUB? As long as that's the news, right?
That's the news. That is the
Okay.
news.
Woo!
I'm pretty confident that he'll be here. He's been really great. I think just at the end of the season and the way things happen, we have guys that I think are really motivated even more because I think guys thought, which, most of the time as a coach, you say things and this time it came true. And I really felt bad because I said, hey guys, you never know when your season will come to an end and you be thinking to your mind, man, what could I have done differently? Well, this year we were going to the tournament and we thought, hey man, we're gonna make a splash. I think we were playing pretty well. I thought our guys was really confident. We were looking forward to that third season, which is postseason, and we were excited about it, and then it ended. But I've seen a change in Taze as far as leadership and his work ethic since that happened because I think finally it came to be true. Like, oh man, this could have ended. Like, and no one was expecting it to end. And mainly, I was talking to them about maybe injury. You don't ever know when you may get injured and your career is over, so you need to play, and all of a sudden it ended this way. But I've really been impressed with Zarpir and Buck. We've had really good leadership, and Taze has been at the forefront of that. And that's why I think we're going to have a really good season, because I think our guys, through as tough as this been, I think it's brought us together as a group, but also I think it's put in perspective. And I think that's fans all and players and coaches and everyone. It's put in perspective what sports really means to us and how important it is and how thankful and grateful we should be to be able to participate in sports general, whether that's high school, college, or pros. But since we're in college, just for guys to understand, man, this doesn't last forever, and you better take advantage of it. And you've been given this privilege, and hopefully, you appreciate what people are doing for you.
Yeah, we've seen some unique returns in the sports world, of course, across the board, whatever it may be, but not something as collective as this. And I think it's going to be something really special too when we get that full wave, whether it be at the high school level or college level or even in professional sports. I think it's going to be really special to see sports come back. And hopefully it does bring us all back together. That's why we love sports. We both always
Yes.
agreed on that. So it's been tough, but Coach, we have hit our mark to do the fast break 5. You remember that, right? It's been a
I thought
while.
I thought the COVID-19 was gonna get me out of this, but I guess not.
No, no, no pandemic's gonna get you out of the hot seat. Okay.
Okay.
And I have to rack my brain because I haven't done this in a while, and I'm like, I got questions for you. But
Sure.
I know one thing that the sports world has been all about, and hopefully you've been on that same bandwagon, is The Last Dance. I will be frank, I have not seen all episodes because I wanted to hold off. So my first question, have you seen it?
I saw 2 episodes.
Okay, we're kind of in the same boat then. But I know you know very well the history of MJ. So the age-old question, Coach, is Michael Jordan the greatest of all time?
He is the greatest of all times. As bad as I hate to say that. He is the greatest of all time. Not my favorite player of all time, but he is the greatest player of all time.
Love that. Yeah, it's hard to argue. When I watch back those highlights, just even from the first few episodes, man, that
Yes.
man could move on a court.
He was great. He was a great, not only just athlete and player, he's a great competitor. Just his spirit and determination to win is really unmatched. And we've had, I think, Kobe, obviously, I think he was somewhere in that area image of doing that. And my favorite player, I wish he could have got a chance to, play the rest of it, was Magic. And obviously, I think he's one of top 5 players that ever played a game. But I would say that Jordan is the best player that ever played.
I gotcha. I won't tell my dad because he was a big Larry Bird fan. So you guys would go head to head with Magic and Bird.
I
So
respect him. I respect him for that. Yeah.
my dad and mom both graduated from Indiana State as well. So there's a lot
Oh,
of background to that love. But
yes.
okay, Coach. So I don't know if you've been able to see or you saw, I think it was a one-time thing, but they had some NBA players playing horse virtually. So if you could virtually play horse with any given player at any level, who do you think you could take down in a good game of virtual horse?
Take down?
Yeah. I know you're going to dunk on him.
I would want to probably, in horse,
Yeah.
I would probably want to go up against Shaq.
All right. All
Yeah,
right.
that would be my thing.
I mean, he's going to dunk, so that's against
Well,
the rules. We'll take
I'm
that
going
out.
to shoot, and he's not going to get a chance to dunk. That's what's going to be
You
the
got to
great
start with the
thing.
ball. Oh, I love that. I know you'd play to win, so I was like, I gotta know who you would take down. I love that. We'll get that arranged, Coach.
Yes, sure. I'm sure he'll take the challenge.
Yeah, he probably would. And he put some money down, I'm sure. All right. So what has been your favorite thing to do in this quarantine? Something
Oh,
that you've
wow.
gotten back to doing that you weren't doing before with your hectic schedule.
Really exercising. I have been consistently exercising, and that's something I haven't done in years either. I've been kind of up and down, but I've been consistent, and I feel good. I feel healthy. I've been able to rest. So what has probably happened to me physically is the most, rewarding thing during this time, this pandemic.
I love that. And I got to get in on your workout routine. Please help motivate me because I'm hit or miss these days.
Well, I mean, I don't have anything else to do. I mean,
No, you're still doing a lot though.
well, we're doing a lot, but I'm just saying I don't get a chance to go coach. So I'm not
Right? Right.
tired from coaching. I'm not, so now
Yeah,
I
the
get a chance.
time. People
Yes,
don't realize the time that coaches have. You're just so incremented your whole day.
yes,
So that I know that that's freed up for a lot of coaches, which is cool to see. And that's
yeah,
good. You're making physical strides and mental strides by getting more sleep.
yes, yes.
I love that. Okay, so for the fourth question, so we talked about this, the perspective that all of this has brought to people. What do you think is the ultimate silver lining during this time that has been obviously a rather negative time for many?
Oh man. I, I guess it's so many, and it's the one thing that it's probably I would have 4 or 5 things, that just the importance of valuing life, and just the small things, because there's so many things we take for granted where whether it's get your hair done or go to get your nails done to just going to the grocery store and having the freedom to run in and run out to do whatever you want. But to value life is in so many of the little things that we need to be thankful for on a daily basis. It's just every day now. As I talk to a bunch of my friends and coaches, it's man, are you all right? You safe? You healthy? Is everything okay? And man, I've probably said that more in the last 2.5 months than I probably said in 10 years, just to certain people. I'm always talking to our players, but just to say that to other people, call someone up, someone call you up, and for that to happen, it's just, this is really a soul searching experience that I think we're going through, and is really testing where our morals and values are today.
Yeah, no doubt. That's beautifully said. I feel like I'm in that process too. I just had that thought the other night of just like, yeah, the world has slowed down, and it goes without saying, of course, we both agree on this. This has been a terrible time for so many, and the lives lost, and the uncertainty with people's jobs. But on the other side of it, with the world slowing down, it gives you a chance to really reflect on what you've been doing in your life and how you've been taking care of
Yes.
yourself or not. And it's given you a chance to reconnect with people, because it's
Right.
just like I don't know. I don't know why it took something like this to do what would just seem so natural as humans, but it did.
Yes.
I mean, I've spoken to my family more than I ever have in my life, and I'm so grateful for that. So
Yes.
yeah, there's some beautiful things to come of this,
I
but for
I
sure.
would agree with that. I would
Yeah.
definitely agree with that.
I
Yeah.
know it's great. It's great to see, but of course we want to see at the same token the world get back to normal and people feeling healthy and safe again out there.
Sure.
But yeah, there has been some good stuff to hold on to. But with that, coach, you take the fifth question.
The fifth question. Um, ooh, that's tough. I want to give you a tough one. I don't want to give you one
Okay,
that's really easy.
I'll take a minute, prepare.
Well, I tell you what I would like to ask you because being a sports reporter, uh, I would just like you to answer the question and say how or what have you seen with the loss of sports,
Mm.
that you can actually say how much it should be valued and how much people should appreciate it.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to start that question or start my response with this. It was funny in the beginning when we first saw the shutdown of sports, many people said, you know, sports isn't that important. Like we now know that the most important thing is health, which I think we could all agree on. And I wholeheartedly agree. As much as I wanted to see you guys and your last big bang in the tournament, it was like
Yes.
I get it. We need to be safe and we need to make, you know, smart decisions here for everyone's health. So it's funny, like that side of the spectrum of like in the beginning of this, I feel like I was kind of going through it like, okay, yeah, I mean, I have a hold a high precedence for sports in my life, but I was like, well, maybe it's not, you know, it's not the most important thing because let's be honest, it's the relationships and the people, and that's we've always agreed on that too. But as we've gone through this, I'm like, what sports does is it reflects why those things are so important. You know what I mean? Like the
Yes.
relationships and the people and the things and the stories that we love to tell about these athletes and the coaches and the teams. And we're watching that too at the Last Dance, just how stories within the sports world, I mean, it doesn't matter that sports is in it, right? We love that. We love the game and we love all those facets of it, but it's just the storytelling that's within the sports world and the things you can learn, like the determination for Michael Jordan, that can be used in regular life. You don't have to be on the Bulls and winning championships to have that and have that be a great motivation. But those things about sports that I've always said, they bring life back to me. And I
Right.
can't wait. And I think, I mean, I get chills just thinking about that moment when we get to all, whatever it may be, your first practice back or my first game that I get to cover, we're all just gonna, it's gonna be one we never forget. And even if it's a terrible game or terrible practice, it's gonna be something you never forget. And that's because sports highlights the things that are truly what do matter. And I think we're all getting to that point where we realize that. And I hope people realize that. And that's why sports means the world to me, because it brings so much joy to my life and it brings the things and the people that I've been so grateful to get to know, like you. It just, it brings a lot of good things. And I can't wait to see that day that we get back to it. So I've just been reminded of that again, and it's twofold, right? Sports is
Right.
not the end of the world. But at the end of the day, it brings a lot of life back into our world. So can't
Well,
wait.
I tell you that was a great answer. I was trying to make it harder, so obviously you must have been prepared to have it. But
Nope, just
I
kidding.
just
I took notes before. I was like, what is he going to ask me?
I like to add to that because um, I think the thing that is probably I reflected on the most the time that we have. To me, that how important sports is. Most of the time, people are almost always um, uh, coming together, and we're not having that opportunity to come together. So there's seeing a sense of loss there. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? So, and then it's crossed everything. You know, I listened to Charles Barkley, and he was talking the other day how you forget everything. You know, for this 2 hours, you got this game going on, man. You're rooting for your team, or you're covering it, or I'm coaching. It doesn't matter what else has happened today. For that time, we're locked in, and that's where we'll focus on. And it's kind of our peace outside of the turmoil of the world that's going on every day.
Right.
And we haven't had a whole lot of that. I think that's why the last chance was so good for people, and kind of people started looking at it. And like you said, I think it just teaches us so much, this game, the sports does, because there's so much you can learn from it, and there's so much you can give and get from it. And we all miss that.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's what keeps me going. So I'm going to keep working on telling those sports stories. They're different now, that's for sure.
Sure.
but,
Yeah.
but I can't wait. Yeah, I can't wait to get back in there because, you know, too, me being a former athlete, well, excuse me, once an athlete, always an athlete. I always say that. So
Always.
always an
Yeah.
athlete. It's just, I know how important sports is meant to, the importance that it's meant to my life and what it's taught me. And exactly that. Like, there's just, when you know, and sports does so much for so many people. But yeah, bringing two people together is a huge facet, and I can't wait for those days either. But again, we'll hang in there until it's safe.
But we look forward to the day that we can do what we love to do in person
Yes, yes.
again. So thank you always for having me on, and please be safe, stay healthy, follow all of the rules and the regulations so that when we hit that floor and have that bad practice that we're going to have, you can be there to cover it for us, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. And coach, until then, maybe I'll be your first virtual horse player.
Sure, sure.
We'll do an in-house version. I'll get a Nerf
Nerf.
over there.
Well, I'll do the same here, okay?
Awesome, coach. Thanks so much for joining me. And I guess we'll call that the Runners Recap Finale. How about it?
Yes, great.